Okay. Now, the only question after that is, was it a lawful imprisonment? See, that's the only question that has to be answered after that. Was it a lawful imprisonment? Now, if they arrested you without a warrant, it wasn't lawful. I want to read a little bit here. This is from a very good on arrest and false imprisonment. It's excellent, and it goes back to the laws that were enforced, and it goes back. It takes case law, some from way back in the 1890s, some of the 90s, just turn of the century, and some a little bit later. But let me ask you this: most of you know this here. If it was once right,
always right.
Always right.
Right.
Can they legislate away your rights?
No.
No, they can't. The authority to arrest without warrant was rather limited and well defined at common law, a law which has been made part of our constitutional law and the due process provisions. The common law rule on arrests is based on common sense. As a general rule, that common law arrest could not be made without a warrant. Thus, the right to arrest a person without a warrant is an exception to the general rule. This simple rule was expressed by Justice Carpenter in delivering an opinion for the Supreme Court of Michigan as follows. Quote, the law governing this case is elementary. Breach of the peace admitted in his presence or when he has reasonable ground to believe that the person arrested is a felon or is about to commit a felony, a police officer has no authority to arrest without a warrant. When have you ever heard that? Did they teach you that in school? That's Cook versus Hastings, 150 Michigan 289. That's the site that's the site, or you can go to 114 Northwest 71. It's from 1907. The objective of this law was to have a balance between preserving liberty and preserving the peace. Those who committed the most heinous crimes, that being felonies, were a threat to the safety of society and could be summarily deprived of liberty by arrest. Those committing a breach of the peace could also be summarily arrested, not for apprehension as a criminal, but to preserve the peace. But for other offenses, summary arrests had to yield to the liberty of the citizen. Otherwise, where is our liberty? If I can be arrested, what liberty do I have?
Zero.
None. None. The liberty of the citizen is too sacred to be left to the arbitrary will of men. Amen. Hear, hear. Everyone knows what felonies are. The most common felonies are murder, rape, kidnapping, sodomy, abortion, treason, and arson. A breach of the peace is obvious and well known. Therefore, everyone's liberty was safe since all knew for what they could and could not be arrested. Do we know that today? No, we don't. We think we can be arrested for anything. And the worst part about it is, so do the government officials. They think they can arrest us for anything. And you talk to the police officer, and he'll tell you that. I can arrest you for anything. Yeah, I can arrest you. How many times have I heard them say, I'm the law on the street. I'm the law here. Excuse me, no, you're not.
What's the name of the book for that? Where are you reading that article from? The list of the felonies and so forth.
Oh, this is our book.
What book?
What's the name of the book?
This one. A treatise on false arrest. A treatise on arrest and false imprisonment.
It's from North Carolina.
I'm not sure what's published. I don't think so. Minnesota, Egan, Minnesota.
He has some North Carolina sites in his book.
Oh, there's a lot of North Carolina sites. We're going to get to those. Yeah, we're going to get to those.
I thought there might be definitions from North Carolina law.
Well, those are common law definitions. Those are, in a lot of cases, just common sense. We know what those are. Breach of the peace is very specific. There are very few things that you can bang a drum and holler in the middle of the street, and you can't arrest for breach of peace, because that's not breach of peace. Breach of peace is when you're damaging somebody, when you're affecting somebody's property. But where is the safety in one's liberty if they are to be subject to every ordinance or law that legislative bodies may choose to enact? Exactly. Can they legislate away our liberties? No. But they're constantly doing it. The Supreme Court is picking and notching and I don't know the word I'm looking for, but they're encroaching little by little. They're picking away at the Fourth Amendment right, the Fifth Amendment rights, and they're completely dismantling them with their little decisions, a little bit at a time. Well, you can't actually stop anybody, and it used to be from the Supreme Court that you cannot set up a roadblock. That is unconstitutional. But now they say, oh, well, it's constitutional as long as you do it this way, and everybody gets the same treatment, and it's for a specific reason. Well, how did that change? Did somebody rewrite the Constitution while we weren't looking? If it was unconstitutional before, how is it now not unconstitutional? The problem is, as we've fallen asleep, we say, well, it's not really affecting me that much, so what is it? Or was it Franklin, or was it Jefferson? It's proper to take a long at every small every encroachment.
Well, what most people do is we pay so that we don't have to worry about things like roadblocks, so we can be safe in person.
But the due process clause, the common law governments, by the due process clause, the common law governs what the law on arrest is in this land. What's the due process clause now? What amendment? What part of the Constitution? Huh? I don't know.
5 and 6, I believe.
4. Well, there is due process in the 6th one too. No warrants of issue but upon if there is no direct language in the Constitution directing what procedure or process to be followed, the common law is to be the due process law followed, not a legislative statute or city ordinance. Officers who do not abide by this law are trespassers and are guilty of false imprisonment. Now, that might seem like a hard statement, but see, what's happened is we've been living in this world of fiction and make-believe, and reality, we haven't faced it for so long, that now the truth, the reality sounds stranger than the fiction we've been living under. We've been trained to believe. If you watch the cops' shows on TV, the cops do whatever they want. Especially this one when they just call the cops, right? It's supposed to be this guy with a video camera following the actual police officers. And they're constantly, I haven't watched, and I can only watch it 5 minutes at a time, but I haven't watched more than 5 minutes and not seen regular violations of people's liberties. And that's just programming. It's programming. Yeah. They're giving you, they're saying, see, this is what we can do, and this is what you have to do. They're programming your mind. I've debated on reading this complaint to you, but I'm going to read it. Okay, this is a complaint by a fellow who got pulled over and was arrested, and he filed a complaint in the district court of the state of Minnesota. He says, on September 30th, I'm going to read the facts for you. On September 30th, 1992, Plaintiff was traveling his automobile on a public highway called I-35 West between Ridgeville and Minneapolis. When northbound, was stopped by the defendant acting as a highway patrolman, an employee of the state of Minnesota. Wording is important. The defendant asked Plaintiff to see his